The devastating defeat by Napoleon at Jena triggered the so-called Prussian reform movement, a transformation which replaced cabinet rule by appointees of the national leader with rule by permanent civil servants and permanent government bureaus. Ask yourself which form of governance responds better to public opinion, and you will realize what a radical chapter in European affairs was opened. The familiar three-tier system of education emerged in the Napoleonic era, one private tier, two government ones. At the top, 0.5% of the students attended Akademienschulen, where, as future policymakers, they learned to think strategically and contextually. They learned complex processes and useful knowledge. They studied history, wrote copiously, argued often, read deeply, and mastered tasks of command. The next level, Realschulen, was intended mostly as a manufactory for the professional proletariat of engineers, architects, doctors, lawyers, career civil servants, and such other assistants as policy thinkers at times would require. From 5 to 7.5% of all students attended these real schools, learning in a superficial fashion how to think in context, but mostly learning how to manage materials, men, and situations, how to be problem solvers. This group would also staff the various policing functions of the state, bringing order to the domain. Finally, at the bottom of the pile, a group between 92 and 94% of the population attended people's schools, where they learned obedience, cooperation, and correct attitudes, along with rudiments of literacy and official state myths of history. This universal system of compulsion schooling was up and running by 1819, and soon became the eighth wonder of the world, promising for a brief time, in spite of its exclusionary layered structure, liberal education for all. But this early dream was soon abandoned. This particular utopia had a different target than human equality. It aimed instead for frictionless efficiency.
I'm Army National Guard. So I serve two purposes instead of one. I go to Afghanistan, Iraq, and do all that. I stay home, and we have an earthquake or something, or like 9/11 goes down, guess what? They grab all of us, and they pull us over there, and we start with the rescue team. And riots break out, the cops can't handle it, they call us. We go in there and help bust out the F-16. So, would you guys be interested in like getting an appointment with us? You know, come to learn more about it and seeing if it would be something to be interested in.
Maybe I'll think about it though.
Alright, you guys have a good day.
From its inception, Volksschulen, the people's place, heavily discounted reading. Reading produced dissatisfaction, offered too many windows into better lives, too much familiarity with better ways of thinking. It was a gift unwise to share with those permanently consigned to low station. Heinrich Pestalozzi, an odd Swiss-German school reformer, was producing at this time a non-literary, experience-based pedagogy, strong in music and industrial arts, which was attracting much favorable attention in Prussia. Here seemed a way to keep the poor happy without arousing in them hopes of dramatically changing the social order. Pestalozzi claimed the ability to mold the poor, to accept all of the efforts peculiar to their class. He offered them love in place of ambition. By employing psychological means in the training of the young, class warfare might be avoided. Information about this Prussian schooling was brought to America by a series of travelers' reports published in the early 19th century. First was the report of John Griscombe, whose book, A Year in Europe, highly praised the new Prussian schools. Pestalozzi came into the center of focus at about the same time through the letters of William Woodbridge to the American Journal of Education, letters which examined this strange man and his humane methods through friendly eyes. Another important chapter in this school buildup came from Henry Dwight, whose travels in North Germany praised the new quasi-religious teacher seminaries in Prussia, where prospective teachers were screened for correct attitudes toward the state. The most influential, however, was the report of French philosopher Victor Cousin to the French government in 1831. This account by Cousin, France's Minister of Education, explained the administrative organization of Prussian education in depth, dwelling at length on the system of people's schools and its far-reaching implications for the economy and social order. Cousin's essay applauded Prussia for discovering ways to contain the danger of a frightening new social phenomenon, the industrial proletariat. So convincing was his presentation that within 2 years of its publication, French national schooling was drastically reorganized to meet Prussian Volksschulen standards. French children could be stupefied just as easily as German ones. On Cousin's heels came yet another influential report praising Prussian discipline and Prussian results, this time by the bearer of a prominent American name, the famous Calvin Stowe, whose wife Harriet Beecher Stowe, the conscience of the abolition movement, was author of its sacred text, Uncle Tom's Cabin. Calvin Stowe's report to the Ohio legislature attesting to Prussian superiority was widely distributed across the country, the Ohio group mailing out tens of thousands of copies in the legislatures of Massachusetts, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Virginia, each reprinting and distributing the document. The third major testimonial to Prussian schooling came in the form of Horace Mann's seventh report to the Boston School Committee in 1843. Mann's sixth report had been a paean to phrenology, the science of reading head bumps, which Mann argued was the only proper basis for curriculum design. The seventh report ranked Prussia first of all nations in schooling, England last. Pestalozzi's psychologically grounded form of pedagogy was specifically singled out for praise in each of the three influential reports I've recited, as was the resolutely non-intellectual subject matter of Prussian Volksschulen. Also praised were mild Pestalozzian discipline, grouping by age, multiple layers of supervision, and selective training for teachers. Mann wrote, "There are many things there which we should do well to imitate." Mann's report strongly recommended radical changes in reading instruction from the traditional alphabet system, which had made America literate, to Prussia's hieroglyphic-style technique. In a surprising way, this brought Mann's report to general public attention because a group of Boston schoolmasters attacked his conclusions about the efficacy of the new reading method, and a lively newspaper debate followed. Throughout 19th century Prussia, its new form of education seemed to make that warlike nation prosper materially and militarily, while German science, philosophy, and military success seduced the whole world. Thousands of prominent young Americans made the pilgrimage to Germany to study in its network of research universities, places where teaching and learning were always subordinate to investigations done on behalf of business and the state. Returning home with the coveted German PhD, those so degreed became university presidents and department heads, took over private industrial research bureaus, government offices, and the administrative professions. The men they subsequently hired for responsibility were those who found it morally agreeable to offer obeisance to the Prussian outlook too. In this leveraged fashion, the gradual takeover of American mental life managed itself. For a century here, Germany seemed to be at the center of everything civilized. Nothing was so esoteric or commonplace that it couldn't benefit from the application of German scientific procedure. When the spirit of Prussian Pelleton Führer crushed France in the Lightning War of 1871, the world's attention focused intently on this hypnotic utopian place. What could be seen to happen there was an impressive demonstration that endless production flowed from a Baconian liaison between government, the academic mind, and industry. Credit for Prussian success was widely attributed to its form of schooling. What lay far from casual view was the religious vision of a completely systematic universe which animated this Frankenstein nation.